On January 6th, Lindsey Graham was running around the Capitol ordering the Capitol Police to murder the protesters. Quote, "You've got guns, use them. We give you guns for a reason," shrieked Lindsey Graham. Shoot American citizens for the crime of trespassing. Really? This is the conservative position? Unarmed protesters show up. Look, they shouldn't have been there. We've never defended that and never would. But kill them? What the hell's wrong with you, Lindsey Graham? How long before you're ordering drone attacks on people whose politics you don't like?
So how dangerous is Tucker Carlson? That's what Celine in Belgium wants to know. He's a fascist, Celine. So how dangerous is a fascist with a platform, with a microphone, with distribution around the world? How dangerous is a fascist? He's not the only fascist, as you know, but he is a fascist. There's no question in my mind. And so the Republican Party is starting to eat each other. Why? Because Lindsey Graham is he was freaked out and he was afraid for his life. He knew that the President of the United States of America had been called. He knew that the President of the United States of America was going to do nothing to call off his supporters who had been lied to repeatedly and for months, if not a year. That if Donald Trump lost the election, it's because it was rigged, it's because it was stolen, it's because they cheated. There is no way Donald Trump could lose in a free and fair election. And this lie was told over and over and over again. And then when Donald Trump failed to get state legislatures to overturn the results of the election, when he failed to get supervisors of elections and secretaries of state to overturn the results of a free and fair election, when he failed in 60 different court cases to get the election overturned, Donald Trump turned to the violent people who follow him. And Tucker Carlson was happy to help, as were other right-wing lunatic fringe voices all over the radio here and all over the television here. All the conservative channels were telling that big propaganda lie. They were all saying it was rigged, it was stolen, to the point where in this country right now, about 30% of Republicans still believe the election had been stolen from them, even though it wasn't even close. And what I'm trying to explain to you, not you, Celine, what I'm trying to explain to Americans and people who are living in places where there are elections today, even if it's something as simple as a school board election today, even if it's something as simple as choosing your mayor today. New York City is going to choose their mayor today. And their choice is between Eric Adams, former police commissioner, and Curtis Sliwa, who made his name for himself back in the 90s, riding on the subway wearing a jacket that called himself the Guardian Angels with a beret. He still wears this stupid outfit. All these years later, this man is stuck in the olden days. Lives in 850 square feet in Manhattan with like 16 cats. And this is who the Republicans put up against Eric Adams. Same thing in Virginia. Virginia, you got Terry McAuliffe as the Democratic candidate, running against a globalist from the Carlyle Group who wants to offshore American jobs to low-wage countries so he can sell them at a profit and enrich himself. And there was no conversation about any of that on the campaign trail in this election cycle. No conversation at all about it. No conversation about Ralph Northam's accomplishments. No conversation about how voting has become so much easier in Virginia because we had a Democrat as governor and because we had a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House in Virginia. No, they keep on doing this to us and putting me in a position to have to defend these candidates because no one voted in a primary. I'm sorry. It's an unenviable position I'm in, but it is all we have. We are back to basics. You understand? We're back to basics. We're back to having to protect the right to vote. We're back to having to protect our right to privacy as women. Something that we've had our entire lives, something we've never lived without, is now suddenly being challenged at the Supreme Court. And I got news for you. Yesterday's argument wasn't even about the constitutionality of what Texas did. No, it wasn't about that Texas violated the Constitution by creating a law that says that 6 weeks is enough time for you to go and get an abortion when the Supreme Court said twice in the last 40 years, once in 1973 and again in 1992 in the Casey case, that you have 23 weeks to decide, 23 weeks to figure out. So they weren't even discussing the violation of the Constitution that Texas wrote down and passed. No, you know what they were talking about yesterday? Whether or not anybody had the right to sue, and if they had the right to sue, who the hell do they sue? Because Texas decided to deputize its people to go after doctors, to go after clinics, to go after people who counsel women about their rights. We're back to basics here. That's all they were discussing is, well, is there a right to sue to keep your constitutional rights in place? Is there a right to sue? And if so, who do you sue? That's what they were hashing out yesterday. And suddenly it dawned on them, well, if that works, if deputizing people to take away other people's constitutional rights works for taking away a woman's constitutionally protected right to privacy, well, then it might work for people to deputize people to take away your constitutionally protected right to vote. And it might actually include people being deputized in states that are anti-gun to, go file a suit if you go get a gun. And that's all that was discussed yesterday. The big constitutional question won't even be argued until December 1st when Mississippi tries to argue the constitutionality of viability, the word viability. I'm telling you, we're back to square one. We're back to basics in this country. That's how far back Republicans take us every time they have power. Don't you get it? That's why we can't make the kind of progress that people are hoping that, they would have lived to see in their lifetime. God knows I want to live in the 21st century. We aren't living in the 21st century. Not only aren't we living in the 21st, we're not living in the 20th. We're living in the 19th. Truly. They're attacking women's rights. They're attacking, and you talk about, the right to, marry whoever. They're going to, Baltimore, what's his name? Jerry brought up the Loving decision, which said that, you can marry whoever you want, whether they're white or black, and you're white or black. It doesn't matter. Well, we're back to that, too, with the gay marriage question. We're back to that, too. That's who they are. It's what they do. They have no policy. So they sell you on this romanticized idea of when no one had rights. How much better things were when everybody had a gun in town. There was one sheriff. Women were, subservient, and they were featured in ads, kneeling at the beds of their husband, presenting them with a tie. Oh, them were the days. And then we have to fight back from that. It's like a touchback. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like that's what it is. It's like you can't even believe how far back they want to dial. Why? Do they care about these things? No. But if we're fighting for basic constitutional rights all the time, if we're fighting for a woman's right to privacy, if we're fighting for the right to vote, if we're fighting for the right to go to the school of your choice, if we're fighting for the right not to be gerrymandered out of existence, well, good. And that's what we're doing. And that's what you're voting for in Virginia today, the right to vote, the right to privacy for women, the right for gay marriage to be recognized. Social Security benefits have just been given to same-sex partners who have been together long enough to get Social Security benefits. That all goes away if they get their way. This is what they do. Now, I understand that, we want to move forward and we want a better messaging and we want a, more modern. They aren't interested. They want to take you so far back that you're just treading water all the time until you get so exhausted. You say, it's just not worth it. I'm not even going to participate. I'm not even going to vote. I'm not even going to show up. I'm not even going to bother. They're all the same. They are not all the same. Democrats could be better. They could run better candidates. We could actually tap into the genius of the youth. We could run people like Katie Porter. We could run people like Stacey Abrams. We could run people that are new and modern and smart and capable of explaining difficult things in easy to understand sound bites. We could do it. but we're always being pushed so far back that we're fighting just to get where we started. And if we win that Supreme Court case that was argued yesterday, all that we will have won is the ability to challenge the law. That's it. That's how far back they took us with this with this vigilanteism. That's how far back, to like the 1890s. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.